Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. If you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget, from luxury cars to family rides. CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Hey now! Hi friends! Welcome to the return of Scott Fox After 9, more or less anyway. I want to thank you for your patience. I did not do pods last week because, in case you missed it, I lost a really good friend and colleague last week, and he was a young guy, 43 years old, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. I'm still trying to understand how that happens to an otherwise healthy guy. But it is a big loss for the company and a big loss for his family and all of us that knew and loved DJ Drew. So I did take some time off last week. This week, initially, I intended to get you completely caught up on everything that you missed. But one of the things I want to say before I get into the content on this episode is breaks are good. Breaks are really good, especially when you're talking about politics. Now, I took last week off because I was mourning the loss of a friend and my head just wasn't there. But as I took that time off and I was taking in the news in real time, I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if this is going to be a big story in history. I don't know if this is even going to be a footnote in history. You know, some of the stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis that we got ourselves wrapped up in, it's real easy to become all-consuming. And every now and again, it's good to take a break. It was good for me to not do pods. Maybe sometimes it might be good for you and your mental health to not listen to pods. Now, that's not to say I don't want you listening every single day. I certainly do. But you got to guard your mental health. And the topics these days, some of them are really, really heavy. And I fully acknowledge there's a lot of people in this country that are very, very angry. They're angry because they know that there's a better way to do things. They know that the way it is not the way it has to be. And the other side just won't listen. And you're frustrated because you're like, what don't you see? Everything we've been doing for 10 years that you're cheering on has been ruining this country. We know how to fix it. We've got to lower interest rates. We've got to lower taxes. We've got to put more money back in the pockets of the middle class. That's the only way we're going to get out of the situation that we're in. And there's some people who are quite content, for whatever reason, to just keep going along with what we're doing. You know, maybe they don't like the government, but they don't want to change. Or maybe they do realize we need a change, but they don't like Pierre Poilievre. You know, I get it. I totally get it. Breaks are important. Take a break so you don't get caught up and get too crazy into the news cycle, because it is meant to suck you in and it's meant to get you angry. We're a divided country. So what I'm going to do today in this episode, the same thing I try and do every day. I'm going to try and give you the news with a lot more context and clarity than you're getting from the mainstream media. Keep in mind, the news is not there to tell you about current events anymore. That's not what it is. They're narrators, and they're giving you a narrative. They're giving you the side of the news that they want you to see. Well, that's not to say that that's the only side. On the pod today, I am going to give you a whole wide variety of different topics, and I'm going to try and keep them fairly close together. I'll tell you who's speaking so you're caught up and so that you know exactly what's going on. And if you're new to Scott Fox After 9, welcome. This is your first episode. I hope you enjoy it. You're going to hear a lot of stuff that you did not see on the news. I want to start off with something that had the potential to go viral last week, and it kind of did, but it kind of didn't. It's an interesting question that we ask ourselves in June as we celebrate Pride Month. Now, to me, this is a very obvious answer. It should be an obvious answer, but it wasn't for members of our federal government. I want to play for you some committee testimony that happened last week. Canada's chief science advisor was in front of this committee. The member of parliament is Vincent Neil Ho. Vincent is the member of parliament for Richmond Hill South. Please listen to this exchange. It's about 2.5 minutes long.
So before you became chief science advisor, you were a molecular geneticist by training, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know a thing or two about X and Y chromosomes. So I wanted to ask you, what is the definition of a woman?
Point of order, Chair.
Point of order. Yes, MP Danko.
It is Pride Month, and understanding Order 18, which prohibits personal attacks, insults, and offensive language. The accusation,
sorry,
where this question is going,
this is getting into debate.
Highly
MP Danko,
offensive.
this is getting into debate.
I asked the member to withdraw his comments.
MP Danko, this is getting into debate.
What is a man or a woman? Is highly offensive.
I will deal with it.
First off, there does seem to be a little bit of confusion around this topic, even though I'm not 100% sure why. There is a Liberal member of Parliament saying it is highly offensive to ask, what is a woman? And to ask that question in very technical terms of Canada's chief science advisor. Seems like a perfectly reasonable question in case there is any confusion, but let's hear a little bit more of this.
MP Ho, I would request to be respectful of everybody. Yeah, please.
The census
MP Ho.
asked thank you.
MP Ho, go ahead.
Resuming, the census asked that question, what is your gender, what is your sex? So I just want to understand what your view is on this.
Point of order, Madam Chair. The witness is here in her capacity of the Chief Science Advisor. Her opinion on any matter as an individual is actually not relevant to her mandate. And so if the question is within the scope of her mandate, I would be interested to see if Mr. Ho could reframe the question, if he so wishes, within the context of her mandate as the Chief Science Advisor.
In these grant applications, it always asks...
MP Ho, just 1 second. I hope you will frame your questions around what the purpose of the study is today. Thank you. MP Ho, go ahead.
I'm getting to that, so I just want to hear the answer.
Madam Chair,
Again, I asked this because the NRC president last week...
Sorry for interrupting. She's trying to answer you. Yes, we have stopped the clock. She's trying to answer your question, so let her answer.
Can I see how much time I have left?
1 minute and 47 seconds.
All right.
From genetically speaking, we define female as, in the animal kingdom, as someone with 2 X chromosome.
So, because I asked this because when we had the NRC president here last week on this committee, and he seems to think that the definition of a woman is just a checkbox. So, I just want to get some clarity on that. So, thank you for that. And it's important because we have events like you had an event, you were attending an event back in February about the success of women in STEM. It's important that we know what the definition of a woman would be because we're celebrating the achievements of women in STEM. So.
Why do you suppose the Liberals got so crazy when the question was asked of Canada's chief science advisor, what is a woman? Then they tried to insinuate that whatever she says is just her opinion on what is a woman. That's a reasonable question. And yes, it was asked on the census not that long ago. Most of us took it. You had to indicate your gender. Now, there was an option, I believe, for didn't want to say or something like that. I don't know, but this should be a very clear-cut answer. Now, the science advisor gave a very scientific answer. In the animal world. Well, there you go, ladies. In the animal world, if you have 2 X chromosomes, you are a woman. Can everybody answer that question, or is there any gray area there? I wouldn't mind hearing it. If you want to weigh in, slide into my DMs. I will be doing a listener DMs episode on Friday. I will be doing a regular episode on Thursday. But between now and then, I'm not 100% sure how many episodes I'm going to have out. Likely a couple, but I've got a couple of funerals to attend this week, and that's going to take a lot out of me. So I don't know exactly how many episodes there's going to be before Thursday. At least this one, probably a second one, maybe even a third. But I'm going to keep working on that, and I will have a listener DMs on Friday. One of the things that came up over the last couple of days was very, very interesting. Justin Trudeau was the Prime Minister when Canada bid on getting the World Cup. And as everyone can plainly see, we are spending a hell of a lot of money on the World Cup. Over $1 billion. Justin Trudeau bragged that he was the guy who brought FIFA and the World Cup to Canada. Well, FIFA's doing fine. They're making a lot of money off of this. We eat all the expense. They keep all the money from ad revenue, from partnerships, from ticket sales, and so many more. It is crazy how many streams of revenue FIFA has here, and all we can rely on is hoping that people come to our cities and want to watch the World Cup. Well, I will point out, in fairness, this weekend, it seemed like there was a lot of people cheering on their country's team, and I'm here for it. I love it. I love the friendly rivalry. That's part of what makes sports great. But did we actually need to have these games here at a cost of approximately $83 million a game? Wouldn't people have still been out in the bars and still been getting together at people's houses? Wouldn't that still be happening even if we didn't have 6 games in Toronto? Maybe the experience for you on the West Coast is a little bit different out in Vancouver, but I'll tell you, here in Toronto, there's people that are just a hell of a lot of angry right now at how much money we're spending on the World Cup when we actually have tens of thousands of people lining up in food banks. So back to the former Prime Minister. He bragged about bringing it here. He's only ex of being Prime Minister for a year now. You'd think Justin Trudeau would make an appearance at the first game that Canada plays in Canada. You'd think he would have gone to Toronto Stadium to watch the Canada versus Bosnia and Herzegovina game on Friday. Nope. The guy who told us, don't go to America, went to America to hang out with his girlfriend and watch Team USA's opener on U.S. soil.
Canadians are hurt. Canadians are angry. We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or Old Orchard Beach or wherever. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products.
That was just a little bit of what he said. He also said we're going to probably keep booing their anthem. Well, you know, there's a lot of people that still believe what Justin Trudeau said a year ago, that we should be boycotting America. Justin Trudeau, as soon as he was free, bolted for America. Mark Carney moved his company to America. Mark Carney's wife and kids live in America. It was all for show. If you're doing this, I mean, hey, if you really think I don't want to go to America because I don't like the way they're conducting their business, fine. But please do not for a second take any advice from that hypocrite, Justin Trudeau. I also want to point out, by the way, he did respond to some of the criticism on social media. He said he was fulfilling his boyfriendly duties or his good boyfriend duties by being there with his girlfriend, Katy Perry, at the Team USA game. Okay, well, hey, maybe he gets points for being a good boyfriend. He certainly doesn't get any points for being a good ex-prime minister. Let's go back now to some committee testimony that happened late last week. One of the things that we're talking a lot about right now is this Alto High Speed train. For some reason, and I can't quite put my finger on it yet, but there is a lot of left-leaning governments that all of a sudden want to ram through high-speed rail projects. Well, here in Canada, we're going to go with Alto, and it's going to expropriate an absolute ton of farmland. It's going to cost billions and billions of dollars. It won't even be open for years, but the Liberals insist we need this. Well, after they rammed it through, it came to light that the wife of our finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, is actually a vice president at Alto. The finance minister says he's recused himself from all of the decisions regarding money. Well, can you when you live with the vice president? You know what? Let me play some committee testimony for you, because this one stinks. It's the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy, and Ethics.
Commissioner, the finance minister was just here at committee, and in his final minutes, on the question of the correspondence between you and him being released, he said, and I quote, "I'll let the ethics commissioner decide if he wants to share it," end quote. So the minister has said that it's up to you, because we know that normally you would say it's up to him. And so we've got that Spider-Man cartoon with the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. So the minister says it's up to you. Will you decide, as the minister has said, to share that correspondence?
No, it's not up to the minister to interpret the Act. The Act says quite clear that everything that is given to me is confidential. If the person who gives it to me releases it, I will comment it, etc. Until such time as he releases it, I cannot comment on it. I have the copy from the letter. As he quite rightly said, he copied me in the letter to the Prime Minister. It's in my possession. He's publicly commented on it. He has not released it. The function of releasing is up to him, not to me.
Well, you heard the setup there from Member of Parliament Michael Barrett. The finance minister says he looped in the privacy commissioner and the conflict of interest commissioner, Conrad von Finkelstein. That's who you just heard there. The finance minister said, if he wants to release it, let him. It's him who would make the decision to release it, and he knows that. He's intentionally being evasive on this. So now, let's hear from the finance minister himself. This is François-Philippe Champagne at the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy, and Ethics. Please note, this is him speaking through an interpreter.
I am here today to describe the measures that my team and I have taken to prevent any potential conflicts of interest regarding the Federal Crown Corporation responsible for developing the High Speed Rail project. Earlier this year, news reports suggested that someone close to me had been hired as an employee of this Crown Corporation, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Government of Canada and reports to the Parliament of Canada through the Minister of Transport. However, the relevant facts date back well before the publication of these articles. On July 3rd, 2025, the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner was informed that someone close to me had received a job offer from the aforementioned Crown Corporation. I then contacted the office directly and was told that no risk of a conflict of interest arose from the circumstances in question. Several months later, further exchanges with the office confirmed this same conclusion. Despite these repeated confirmation that no conflict of interest existed and that no screen was required, I nevertheless chose, out of an abundance of caution, to implement and maintain an ethics screen to avoid any appearance of a conflict of interest and to assure Canadians of the integrity of the decision-making process, as evidenced by the letter dated September 10th, 2025, a copy of which was duly sent to the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner.
Okay, that's the other side of the argument. That's what François-Philippe Champagne says. So, you've got the argument here that there's an obvious conflict of interest. The finance minister, the guy who's in charge of handing out the money to build the Alto High Speed Rail, is married to one of the vice presidents at the company. And by the way, they haven't laid a single meter of track yet. Not a single meter. And we're already getting into the billions. This thing is going to be a massive boondoggle, like an astounding waste of money where people are going to get rich and Canadians are going to get nothing for it. And even when it is eventually built, probably in 2 decades, my guess is 20 years before people are using this train. It's not going to be something that every Canadian can use. All it does is connect parts of Quebec to parts of Ontario. You're paying for it in Alberta. You're paying for it in New Brunswick. You're paying for it in British Columbia. You're paying for it in Manitoba. You're paying for it in Nova Scotia. And the list goes on. It's not for you. This is to make rich people even richer, connected people. Hey, by the way, how did Alto find the wife of the finance minister and figure she's the person who should be the vice president of X, Y, and Z? How did that happen? To me, it's an obvious conflict of interest. To me, it is. But you heard the finance minister's defense there, again through a translator.
You said it's important to maintain trust, that we can't politicize the ethics committee. But when you do this, people have questions. They ask, how could a minister accelerate a project, spend billions of dollars, have directors of that project, have $2.8 million in bonuses, and these are executives. So is your wife an executive at Alto? Again, Chair, these are allegations. There are allegations in the question. I would invite you to consult. Yes, you are making allegations. Your wife works for Alto. You're making allegations, Mr. Hardy. What allegations? You're making allegations that are false. What allegations? What is the allegation that I'm making that's not true? Verify what you're doing with lawyers. You're making allegations. You're politicizing the work of this committee. If you're against the project, that's fine. For those who are listening to us, they understand exactly what you're doing. You're against the project. You're politicizing. I'm not politicizing anything. I'm asking you for facts.
Listen to that obstruction. Again, I know it's difficult through a translator who's translating two different people at the same time. Maybe they could work on that. There's no shortage of French translators in Ottawa. There's tons of them. Hire a few more. Anyway, back to it. Completely obstructionist. Wouldn't even address the content of the question. Just accuse the Conservatives of politicizing this. Is it really political when billions of our tax dollars are up for grabs? And the guy who's advancing the project, the finance minister, is married to the EVP at the company, or one of the VPs at the company. Come on. I think everyone can see what's going on here, right?
Je sais pas en quoi je politique.
I don't see how I'm politicizing this issue. Executives at Alto received bonuses. I'm asking you whether or not your wife is a part of the Alto executives. That's the question. Because if Canadians know that that's the case, they know that your household will benefit from that money, and you're going beyond the general application. Mr. Hardy, please give the time to the minister to respond. Thank you, Chair. I understand that at committee sometimes things get heated, but as you said, we all need to stay respectful. Mr. Hardy, I'll answer you, and I will quote the Ethics Commissioner, because you're making allegations, and you should consult lawyers. The Commissioner said, given that Alto is a Crown Corporation accountable to Parliament through the Minister of Transportation, and that as Minister of Finance, you have no decision-making authority over human resources matters at Alto. You are in no position to favor the interests of a specific Alto employee. There is therefore no risk of a conflict of interest, and a screen is not required.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. You can hear the obstruction, right? Just throwing an accusation back rather than actually saying it. It was a very simple question. Is your wife an executive at Alto? Yes or no? Answer the question. Was it an accusation? Just yes or no. That's certainly the report that's out there in the media. Why won't the finance minister even acknowledge that? To me, this one stinks, guys. You can feel however you want about it. Maybe you're excited about spending billions on this high-speed rail line, but frankly, there's a lot of ways to get from Quebec City to Toronto, and I don't know that we need to be spending money on this when there are so many other pressing things happening in our country right now, not the least of which the amount of middle-class families that are struggling.
This message is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hey, I'm Will. I started IQ Bar because I couldn't find a protein bar that wasn't loaded with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients, so I decided to make my own. IQ Bars are ultra-low sugar, packed with protein, fiber, and brain-boosting nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and they got 0 weird ingredients. And if you've been meaning to try them, now is a great time because right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. Whether you're at your desk, on the road, or mid-workout, IQ Bar has functional, clean, and delicious options for every occasion.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. To get 20% off plus free shipping, go to iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. That's iqbar.com, promo code BAR20.
Now let's move on to another topic. This was just announced this morning over in the United Kingdom. They are going to follow the lead of Australia and Canada. They're going to ban social media for kids under 16. Here's an interesting one, though. While they're going to ban YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and X and Reddit and all of these other platforms, they're going to leave the platform Blue Sky open for kids. Blue Sky has got a lot of accusations against it. I've never been on it, don't even know what it looks like. But people tell me it is gross. And there is a lot of highly sexual content on there. There's a lot of... You know what? You can look into blue sky if you want. I don't need to offer you any more of what I've heard about it, but that seems strange to me that one would remain okay for kids, yet all of the other ones have got to go. You know, when I look at the governments who are doing this, it was Australia, then Canada, now the UK. Let's watch and see if France goes next. Because if they do, that is the big left-wing governments, the ones who are the globalists who still believe in that one world order led by China. Why are all those countries all of a sudden so interested in banning young people from participating in the same thing that adults do, social media? Why? And why are they gaslighting parents? We're going to do this to keep your kids safe. Will it keep kids safe? Because you know what? I understand that there's some real legitimate concerns about social media and young people's access to it. But it seems to me there's a way to deal with it. Banning it altogether is probably going to create an underground market. It's also going to force a lot of the bullying and things like that gets done into group chats where it already resides as is. You know, I don't know that banning social media should give any parent any satisfaction that their kid is safer. But hey, that's just me. Here is the announcement from the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. This is about a minute and a half long.
Because today is a big moment for our country. This is a big step, real change for our children and our future. Because today I can announce that the government will ban access to social media for all children under the age of 16. Look, this is not something I do lightly, and I will not present it as cost-free, as if social media has brought no benefits to young people, because clearly that is wrong. But government is always about choices. And it's clear to me that a full ban is the right choice. Now, I come to it as a parent myself. I know exactly the fears that we all feel when we're thinking about this issue. You know, all I've ever wanted for my own children, hand on heart, is for them to be happy and for them to be safe. And I think that's what any parent wants. But I ask the question now, do we truly believe that social media creates a happy environment for our children? Do we truly believe that it's a place where they can feel safe? I don't think I even need to answer those questions, do I?
He's so smug. Oh, my God. Keir Starmer there. Listen, at the end of the day, there's work to do. We could probably do a lot more to shelter kids from some of the stuff that parents may not want their kids to see online. But I really believe that has to be a conversation that happens with the parents. Government mandating it. I know there's also some parents who think, yeah, government mandating it's probably great because that means I don't have to do it. I don't have to be the bad guy. Maybe your kid doesn't listen to you. Maybe you're afraid of the backlash when you take away the social media. It's just easier if the government bans it. Hey, listen, I think that, again, this is a parent conversation. I think that if there's things that you're concerned your kid's into, you need to have a chat with your kid. Government banning it altogether, I don't think that this is the answer. And even if it is, I don't trust these governments that are doing it and their motives for doing it. I just don't. I don't think they have kids' best interest in mind. I really think this is for another reason. What that reason is, we can speculate about that for sure, but there's no point in speculating. Why now? You know, Keir Starmer making it seem like there's a clear and present danger. He's been prime minister for a while now. Why did it take until the 15th of June, 2026 to wake up and realize this is an issue? Why did he wait for Canada and Australia to do it first? Will France be next? These are legitimate questions that you can wonder. By the way, this was a topic of conversation in Canada as well. The Canadian minister who will oversee this is, let's see here, this is Mark Miller. He is basically our heritage minister. Let's hear a little bit of Mark Miller answering questions on this just the other day.
So as soon as this bill gets royal assent, this social media ban for kids under 16 comes in place, and all big tech companies, social media companies, will have to have that age verification in place.
Yep.
So as soon as...
That's a key point. This is one way to look at it anyway, is this is a backdoor way of forcing Canadians to get digital ID. Because if you want to keep your social media account, you have to verify your age. It's almost a reverse onus. They say we're going to ban it for kids. Okay, well, that means the rest of us have to prove that we're not kids. Does that mean we all have to get our ages verified? Come on. What's really at play here? I really don't believe this is purely about the safety of kids. There's way too many questions, and it's way too suspect, the governments that are doing this.
Do you want me to talk to you about my experience with porn sites? I'm not going to, I don't think I'll fall into that trap necessarily.
And what about the porn sites? Now, somebody asked the minister about that, and that was his response. Let me play that for you one more time.
Do you want me to talk to you about my experience with porn sites? I'm not going to, I don't think I'll fall into that trap necessarily.
No, we don't want to hear about your experience with porn sites. We want to hear a very obvious question. If you're banning social media to protect kids, wouldn't porn fall into that? No. They're not going to ban porn. No. Not this government. They're certainly not going to do that. Friends, that's going to wrap up this episode of Scott Fox After 9. I'm easing back into it, half an hour. It's a good catch up. But I'm also aware there's a lot of other things going on. President Trump says a peace deal has been negotiated with Iran. That means oil should start flowing again. Gas prices should start to come down. They say there's a big backlog. I don't know if that's true or not, but it'll take a while to get back down to where we were, which was about $1.37.9 on average. Either way, big decreases are coming. We hope they're decreases anyway. So that's good news. But we'll talk about the politics of that. I've got some audio to play for you from the U.S. ambassador when he was speaking at the U.S.-Canada Summit. You're going to hear a lot from Prime Minister Mark Carney in the next episode because he's been saying a lot of weird stuff over in Europe right now. He's over there for the G7. He did a little junket over to Ireland where he basically said it was nice to be home. That's a weird thing for the Canadian Prime Minister to say, but all right, sure. Okay, fine. And another thing I'm going to play for you is Pierre Poilievre proposing something brand new, and I love it. It's about time we started having conversations like this. Brand new conservative policy. No tax on used cars. No tax on used cars. Think about it. The person who bought that car initially, the person who walked into Toyota or Honda or Ford or GM or Stellantis or what have you, they paid tax when they bought that car. Eventually, they decided to sell that car. Why should the person who buys it next have to pay tax on it? Tax was already paid on it. The government's making a fortune off of this. You'll hear Pierre Poilievre in his own words in the next episode of Scott Fox After 9. Again, they're coming out sporadically this week. I'm doing the best I can to get back into it and to work around all my funeral obligations for this week. But friends, keep an eye out. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and you will get a notification when new episodes drop. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'll catch you right back here soon for another episode of Scott Fox After 9.